morning all. In last lecture, development of the embryo of monocotyledonous embryo and the dicotyledonous embryo we studied. Then the main goal of the reproduction actually in every living organism including plants is to create the offsprings for the next generation. So, one of the ways that the plants can produce the offspring by forming or by the making the seeds. The flowers must be pollinated in order to produce the seeds and the fruit. That means seeds and the fruits are the last, or we can say it is the offspring of the plant. So that's why the flowers must be pollinated in order to produce the seeds and the fruits. Actually, this seeds development is initiated by the fertilization, and the integuments of fertilized ovule persist and get transformed into the seeds coat and matured seeds. Likewise, एम्ब्रायो मध्ये जर पाहिलं तर मोनोकॉटिलिडॉनस एम्ब्रायो वेगळा आहे आणि डायकॉटिलिडॉनस एम्ब्रायो वेगळा आहे. Likewise, if we talk about the seed, the dicot seed is different depend on the cotyledon, and monocotyledonous seed is different, like in the maize which contain the one type of the cotyledon. So seed development is initiated by the fertilization, and seed means the question may be asked that exam that what is the seed, then you should be able to answer or to define the seed. Seed means it is the fertilized and the mature ovules that is called the seed, which is the matured ovule. Then that seed consists of these main parts. First is the cotyledon, embryonal axis, seed coat. Also it contains the radicle, hypocotyl, epicotyl. These are the double seed coat, that double layered formed by the integuments. So this is the structure of the common seed. If we talk more about the seed, we know that now it is a final product of the sexual reproduction and is often described as a fertilized ovule. Correct. So micropyle remain as it is. Okay, what happened in the seed? The micropyle remain as a small pore in the seed coat, and which facilitate the entry of the oxygen and the water into the seed during the germination. Okay, during the germination, of course, there is a need of the oxygen and main essential part, water. So that's why for facilitate the entry of the water and the oxygen, the micropyle remain as a pore or a small pore in the seed coat, which will facilitate the entry of such oxygen and the water into the seed during the germination. As the seed matures, its water content is reduced up to the 10 to 15% by mass, and seed become relatively dry. Correct. So the seed may enter a state of the inactivity that is called the dormancy. Later on I will tell you what is the seed dormancy. but and germinate only when the favorable conditions are available. So next to that, it contains the testa, tegnum. Testa is the outer coat, tegnum is the inner coat. You know that what is a micropyle now? It is a small opening on the seed coat. It facilitates the entry of the H2O and the oxygen, water and the oxygen into the seeds for the seed germination. Hilum, that is also the seed coat. Then that seed may be albuminous and non-albuminous. So, but when that seed get matured, that time that seed may be albuminous or the non-albuminous. Now I will tell you what is the albuminous and how will you identify the albuminous seed and the non-albuminous seed. If we talk first about the albuminous seed, that retain a part of the endosperm as it is, and it will not used during the embryo development, like in the maize. Maize is the albuminous one. What happened in the wheat, maize, like other example for the albuminous seed is the sunflower is there, then barley is there, castor is there. What happened here in the albuminous seed? That retain a part of the endosperm as it is and not used during the embryo development. This is the albuminous seed. Next one is the non-albuminous seed. In the non-albuminous seed, there is the no residual endosperm as it is completely consumed during the embryo development. Example we can take like the pea, peas are there, okay, bean seeds, or the peas are there, groundnut is there. These are the non-albuminous seeds. Okay, so dormancy, it is the state of inactivity when there is a removal of the water content from the seed. When that get matured, that is called the seed dormancy. And when what happened then, during the favorable condition, that seed germinates, and whatever the state of the inactivity is there, that is called the dormancy. Correct. Next point is the wall of the ovary develops into the wall of a fruit, that is called the pericarp. You can see here this is about the fruit development. Now what is the fruit? You cleared that seed is the matured ovule, fertilized mature ovule. But what is the fruit? So fruit is the mature ovary. Mature ovary, it is called the fruit. There is a big difference between fertilized ovule and the matured ovary. Matured ovary is the fruit and fertilized ovule is the seed. And the transformation of ovules into the seeds and ovary into the fruits, that occurs simultaneously. ओके, ही दोन्ही पण जी काही प्रोसेस आहे सीड डेव्हलपमेंटची आणि फ्रूट डेव्हलपमेंटची, ही सायमल्टेनियसली होत असते, सोबतच होत असते. कारण it is fruit is related to ovule and ovary is related to fruit. Okay, the wall of the ovary develops into the fruit, that is called the pericarp. These are the many pictures of the fruit here you can see, and pericarp is the transformation of the wall of the ovary that develops into the fruit wall, that is called the pericarp. Some fruits are the fleshy one, some are the like dry fruits are there. So which are the fleshy and which are the dry fruit now? Okay, these are the examples of the fleshy fruits like mango, orange, have the fleshy and juicy pericarp, and these are called the fleshy fruits. Whereas some fruits like the groundnut is there, mustard is there. In such type of fruits, what happened? The pericarp is dry, and these fruits are non-juicy. So that's why such type of fruits are called the dry fruits. So what is the function of the pericarp in the fruit? Why pericarp is present? The pericarp protects the young seeds and help in the dispersal of the seeds at the maturity. This is the function of the pericarp, and pericarp is basically three-layered, which get differentiated into the fleshy fruit like the mango, coconut, etc. You can see here mesocarp, epicarp and the endocarp. These are the three layers of the pericarp. Okay, so this is about the fruit development. Other than this, there are some false fruit also and some true fruits also. The fruits which develop from the ovary, that fruits are called the true fruits like the mango, orange. These are developed from the ovary. So that's why these are called the true fruits. And in some plants, the thalamus also contribute in the formation of the fruit. Such fruits are called the false fruits. Like the strawberry is there. Strawberry is the false fruit. The strawberry is not made up of the ovary. स्ट्रॉबेरी ही ओव्हरी पासून बनलेली नाहीये, थॅलामस पासून बनलेली आहे. मग असे फ्रुट्स की जे ओव्हरी पासून बनतात त्याला म्हणायचं ट्रू फ्रुट्स. आणि असे फ्रुट्स ज्यामध्ये थॅलामसने सुद्धा कॉन्ट्रीब्युशन घेतलेलं आहे फ्रूट बनवण्यासाठी, such fruits are called the false fruits. Okay, so this is the difference between the false fruit and the true fruit. This part is from NCERT, which is helpful for your NEET exam. Okay, so this is and the seed and the fruit development. But before that, you should know what are the advantages of the seeds. Okay, seeds also it is for the plant itself. Then for the mankind it is helpful. Okay, so these are the advantages of the seed. Now, next we will see the new term for you, which is the apomixis. Apomixis means what? See what happened. Many plants reproduce by sexual method. By fertilization is there, embryo formation is there. But what happened in the apomixis that mimic the sexual reproduction? Actually, it is the method of the asexual reproduction. Apomixis ही अशी टेक्निक आहे किंवा असा फिनॉमिना आहे की जी फक्त सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शनची कॉपी करण्याचा प्रयत्न करते किंवा तिचा मिमिक करण्याचा प्रयत्न करते, बट ऍक्च्युअल इट इज द मोड ऑफ द असेक्शुअल मेथड. But here there is no formation of the gametes. But fertilization is occur. That's why we are saying the apomixis is that mimic of the sexual reproduction. So how will you define the apomixis? Apomixis is a form of asexual reproduction that mimic the sexual reproduction. But how? Where seeds are formed without fertilization. Like example can we take here of the apomixis, like the grasses are there, Okay, these are the example of the apomixis which mimic the sexual reproduction. You can see here it is the phenomena of the formation of the embryos through the asexual method of the reproduction without the formation of a gametes that act of the fertilization. आपण काय म्हणतो एम्ब्रायो कधी फॉर्म होणार आफ्टर द फर्टिलायझेशन. फर्टिलायझेशन कधी होणार गॅमेट फॉर्मेशन झाल्यानंतर. गॅमेट फॉर्मेशन आहे म्हणजे सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन आहे. पण जर गॅमेट फॉर्मेशन गॅमेटच नाही तर ऑफकोर्स तिथे सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन नाही झालं पाहिजे. So that's why we are saying that apomixis is a mode of asexual reproduction, but this mimic the sexual reproduction. There are several ways of the development of the apomictic seeds. Similarly, when the diploid sporophyte cell produces a diploid gametophyte without undergoing the meiosis, and it is called the apospory. Example, orange and the mango. In some varieties of the citrus are there and mangoes are there, the nuclear cells surrounding by the embryo sac and that protrude into the embryo sac and develop into the embryos. Okay, so this apomixis divided into three main categories. First is the recurrent apomixis, non-recurrent apomixis, and the adventive embryony. We will see one by one here. First is the recurrent apomixis. What happened in the recurrent apomixis? In this type, the embryo sac generally rise either from the archaeosporial cell or from some other part of the nucleus. म्हणजे काय होतंय रिकरंट ॲपोमिक्सिस मध्ये एम्ब्रायो सॅक कशापासून तयार होणार आयदर फ्रॉम द archaeosporial cell or from the other part of the nucleus. And in the diplospory, unreduced embryo sac is derived from the diploid megaspore mother cell. Next is the non-recurrent apomixis. Now what happened in this type of the apomixis? Megaspore mother cell MMC that undergoes usually meiotic division and a haploid embryo sac is formed. That means embryo कुठून तयार झालाय either from the egg by the parthenogenesis or from some other haploid cells of the gametophyte through the apogamy. Okay, so plants produced by this method, they are generally sterile and they do not produce sexually. Example is the Nicotiana. And last type of the adventive of the apomixis is the adventive embryony. In the adventive embryony, the embryos may develop from the somatic nucleus or the integuments along with the normal zygotic embryo. Okay, like in the orange is there, mango is there, lemon is there. These are the adventive embryony. So depending on कुठून एम्ब्रायो डेव्हलप झालेला आहे त्यानुसार हे ॲपोमिक्सिसचे 3 टाइप पडलेले आहेत. Next point is the parthenocarpy. Now this parthenocarpy, it is the term which is described by Knoll. Knoll is the scientist who discovered this parthenocarpy term in the 1902, and it is the condition in which fruit is developed without the process of the fertilization. अशी कंडिशन की ज्यामध्ये फर्टिलायझेशनही होणार नाही पण फ्रूट फॉर्म झाला आहे. Without the process of the fertilization, fruit is formed. That term is known as the parthenocarpy. It occurs naturally in some varieties like the pineapple, banana, papaya. These are the examples of the parthenocarpy. Okay, in these plants, what happened? It seems that the placental tissue in the unfertilized ovary that produce a tissue and that produce the auxin or the IAA, indole acetic acid, which is responsible for the enlargement of the ovary into the fruit. And the fruit resembles the normally produced fruit, but it is seedless. Okay, you know that banana is the seedless one. Okay, this is the parthenocarpy. Last but important point from this lesson is the polyembrayony. या नावामध्ये सगळं काही आहे. पॉली मीन्स मेनी, एम्ब्रॉयनी मीन्स एम्ब्रायो. म्हणजेच एकापेक्षा जास्त जर एम्ब्रायो असतील इनसाइड द सेट त्या कंडिशनला म्हणायचं पॉलीएम्ब्रॉयनी. So it is the development of more than one embryos inside the seed and the condition is described as the polyembryon. ही टर्म पहिल्यांदा Leeuwenhoek, Antony von Leeuwenhoek is the scientist who noticed the first that condition polyembryony in the seeds of the citrus genus. Okay, so this polyembryony may be true or the false depending upon the weather of many embryos that arise in the some embryo sac or in the different embryo sac or in the same ovule actually. Okay, so polyembryony may be of two types, adventive polyembryony and the cleavage polyembryony. जर embryo develop झाला असेल directly from the diploid cell of the nucleus, that is a adventive polyembryony like in the citrus, and the cleavage polyembryony म्हणजे झायगोट पासून जर proembryo तयार झाला असेल तर. Okay, so each unit then develops into an embryo and this polyembryony increases the chances of the survival of the new plants. And it is responsible for the nuclear adventive polyembryony is a great significance in the horticulture. Okay, so this is about the polyembryony, parthenocarpy, apomixis, the types of the apomixis, and seed development and the fruit development. Okay, here your lesson is finished. First lesson is finished. In that we studied all the mode of the reproduction in the plants. Vegetative one, asexual one, sexual one. In the sexual reproduction, we have studied the different techniques, pre-fertilization, fertilization, and the post-fertilization. Okay? Thank you.